Okay, I'm muted. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can't hear you though.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Okay, I can. All right. We're all set. I'm riding solo. Terry's on his way to pick up Livy. I'll go to music. There were quite a few people waiting. Some bounced off, but it's all
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Let me just pin myself here, and then I will go to. I couldn't find my regular wind down, but it's okay. I'll just put this one up. All right. Good evening, everyone. See, I have to catch y'all on the downbeat. Y'all hear me back here popping my fingers. You're probably wondering, how is she popping her fingers and the market was down nearly 1,200 points? Well, that's what we're going to talk about this evening, ladies. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Let me see who is in the room with me so I can do some shout outs. Who is here? I see your lovely faces. That's right. Turn those cameras on so I can see your beautiful faces. I see Karen Gray is in the house. Hello, hello, hello. Joyce Valentine. Yes, yes, yes. Show me who else is in here. Let me just change my view for a minute. Let me change the view. Check y'all out. Okay, see y'all are hiding. Turn on some of them cameras. Y'all see, I'm gonna have to y'all recognize now. It's 8 o'clock and I am not an evening person. And so, to have to glam up because these videos really they last into perpetuity or whatever you would call it. But at any rate, good evening, ladies. Well, I got a lot to cover tonight. I'm not going to keep you guys too long, though. I think I'm going to shorten it up a little bit because I've got some news for all of you. So come on in, come on in. Let me see it. I think we're streaming. Yes, we are streaming on several platforms. So whether you're on YouTube, whether you're watching me on the Facebook group, go ahead and make your comments tonight. We're not doing a Get Wealthy watch party, although, by the way, if you haven't seen this week's episode, you need to, because again, we're always dropping knowledge about what you can do to accelerate your financial growth. And, I love the way we frame this week's conversation. But at any rate, for those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Deborah Owens. I'm founder and CEO of WealthyU, where we help Black women build their first investment portfolios to 7 figures and beyond. It certainly doesn't happen overnight. Build your first 6 figures. Then you get to 6 figures, then, multiple 6 figures, up to 7 figures and 7 figures and beyond. And the most exciting thing about WealthyU is just to see the kind of results that many of the members in WealthyU are experiencing, have experienced. But you know what? Here's what I want you to know. This is when you separate the investors, right, from the savers. Okay? So that's where I want to start. This is where you separate the investors from the savers. And what I want to chat with all of you about tonight is the fact that, and I want everyone to get this, is that when you can lean into the fear, you can turn that into financial freedom. Now write that down. You got to write that down, right? When you can lean into the fear, that is the secret to achieving financial freedom. I was watching CNBC, and I consume a lot of information. So whether it's finance.yahoo.com or whether I'm on CNBC and then I have CNBC Pro, I was kind of poking the bear today with Jim Cramer said, this is the worst I've ever seen. And I was like, nah, Jim, 1987 was worser than this. Not that necessarily correct English, but at any rate, what I want to talk with all of you about tonight is investing in turbulent times. Let me give some folks some shout outs. So Tamika's here from Bowie. Let's see. Jacqueline Meekins is in the house. Maddie Hayes, good to see you, Maddie. Hey, Savvy Sisters. Olivia Cobb. Let's see, Deborah Roberts. Man, we got everybody in here from Northern California, one of my favorite places. Is that Aretha Phillips? Yeah, I'm trying to wear these contacts and see at the same time. We've got Alex Woods, Cassandra Brooks. Cynthia Jefferson Lane. Well, okay, my sis, my good girlfriend, one of my besties. I can't wait to see her soon. Glad to see all of you in the house, Lillian Long. Great to see you. So, last week we had some technical difficulties, right? And I was right in the midst of getting into investing in volatile times. And then, you know, it did what it did. Technology is great when it works. But really, what I wanted to talk to all of you about this evening is like, this is when the wealthy accumulate wealth during these times. And I mean, how many of you in the chat, let me know, how many of you have been kind of antsy about and nervous about the stock market declining? In the chat, let me know. How many of you are nervous about the stock market declining? So let's see. Sharon Jones Hayes, me, Pamela, yes. And you should be. But what I like to do is I like to give you guys a little background. And for the past 6 months, I have been sharing with you all about the fact that inflation is higher. We're seeing things similar to what happened in the 70s. I think I just read something that said in the UK, inflation is the highest rate it's been in 40 years. But part of the reason for this is inflation really is the supply chain. And in fact, both Target and Walmart came out today and they attributed their lower earnings to the fact that the cost of goods sold, everything has gone up in price, right? Everything has gone up in price. And so we're seeing it because they saved they passed those increases onto the consumers. And when you walk into the store, I tell you, it took my breath away. I forget what I was buying, but it was like 30% more. And I was like, well, really go to the gas pump and that'll really give you a shock. How many of you have been shocked at the gas pump? In the chat, let me know. However, this is what I want you to look at, right? So inflation is up. Gas prices are certainly up. Part of that we can attribute to the Ukraine war, the instability, and Russia playing, they supply a lot of oil and gas specifically to Europe. And so in some cases, it's been sort of intimated that many of these companies are gouging consumers because they can. Because everybody's saying inflation. They're like, okay, let's keep the prices up. They expect to pay more because perception is reality. But the point that I want to make, it's really interesting. When I got up this morning, I said to Terry, was like, yeah, the market was up yesterday. And I said, yeah, and it's going to be down today. And he looked at me and he was like, how do you know that? The market was been down. Maybe it's on a trend. Here's what I want you to understand is when you have this kind of volatility, right? And when you've had a significant decline, so the market's down. I just read something. I want to say it's, maybe 20% from where we started out year to date, might even be 30% based on today's performance. Who knows that number? Somebody look that up for me. How much have we declined in 2022? If you just Google stock market decline in 2022, it'll tell you that. So here's what I want you to understand, and I'm dating myself, but I started in the industry in 1987. I barely got my little broker's license, right? And then boom, the stock market goes down, Black Monday. And if you could have saw people pulling out their hair, certainly the price or the stats on the market were nowhere where they, 30,000. No, we were probably at 2,000 at that point. And what was so interesting to me was to see all of the fear, right? So here's what I want you to understand is now there's fear, and there's a lot of it, and rightly so. And here's why there's a lot of fear is because there are a lot of new entrants into this market. So even 10 years ago, we didn't have Robinhood and Stash App and all of these different tools that you can use now where you can invest as little as $5 or $10. I mean, you had to buy, 10 shares or round lots, which are 100. I mean, when back in the day, you couldn't just invest pennies and cents unless you were investing in penny stocks. And even then, you probably had to buy 100 shares. So I just want you guys to understand where I'm going. And so because of that, in the past 5 years, you literally could go, boop, with the exception of COVID 2 years ago, very similar, and just in terms of the decline, and you were making money. So at some point people were like, oh man, this is easy. Whoa, I just invest my money in the stock market and I put 100% into stocks and my money is just gonna go up. That is not how it works. In the chat, how many of you that's not how it works. We know that life is up and down, right? That's one thing for certain. Things are gonna change. Are you guys with me? That's one thing for certain. And in addition to that, with something like COVID just coming out of nowhere, and man, we've been into this thing a good 2 years, and now guess what? They're talking about masking up again, right? So you've seen all these people out here no mask, and you wearing your little mask, and they looking at you like, why you wearing your little mask? And I'm thinking to myself, oh, just wait, because COVID hasn't gone anywhere. Agree or disagree? Okay, crazy, right? So to that, in all of this uncertainty, if I'm running a business like I am, then I have to be agile and I have to recognize that there the uncertainty and whether or not we're going to be in a better place 6 years from now, a year from now, anything can happen. So if you are going to make decisions, you have to make them looking at the long-term implications and your long-term goals, and you have to be willing. Okay, you have to be willing to deal with the ups and downs in the near term. Are you guys with me? Like, the point being that in order for you to turn fear into financial freedom, you're going to have to lean into the fear. Okay? In the chat, say, lean into the fear. Okay? Lean into the fear. And the reason I said that, last week I showed you guys the fear index. Do you guys remember that? Let me see if I can pull it up again. Fear and greed. I meant to update this though. Okay. I meant to update this, but they were talking about like neutral 1 month ago, 1 week ago. This is it. Well, it's so it's continued to, and I would say after today, we're probably in extreme fear. And the one thing about fear is that fear is an emotion, right? Fear is an emotion. And let me ask you a question. How many of you have ever made a good decision when you were afraid? Okay, I just in the chat. Have any of you ever made a good decision when you were in the chat? Yes or no? Let me know. Let me know. Anita says yes. Okay. I will tell you, for the most part, every time I have allowed my emotions and fear, most of all, now I've made bad decisions being overconfident, right? Like I'm not trying to say that, like you can never let your emotions rule. Okay, that's not the point, is that we're human and we're emotional beings. But what I want you to understand is, so is the stock market. Okay? This is what I want you guys to get, is that the stock market is driven more by emotion and psychological behavior than it is numbers. Okay? Now, this is what I want you to understand about the stock market. The stock market is like any other market. If you have, there are two sides, right? There are buyers and there are sellers. And when you have more buyers, what happens to prices? In the chat, let me know. If you have more people buying, what happens? Okay, what happens to prices? Do they go up or do they go down? That's right, they go up. Okay, so like for years, a company like Amazon didn't even make profits. But because people were looking at the potential of their long-term growth, their sales went up. Don't get me wrong. Like, like you can have a lot, it's just like your personal finances. Can I be real with y'all? Okay, let me be real with y'all. You could have, like, your income can be going up, but if you overspend, you can be broke. Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that? Like, so just with companies, what you I'm going there. I just stick with me, right? Just like with companies, like you have an Amazon who for like 10 years didn't make a profit. Or even Twitter right now. There's all this talk about Twitter. Twitter's not profitable. Okay? But what are they're looking at the long-term opportunity and the fact that they have so many followers and how they could monetize that, which is exactly what Jeff Bezos did. It started out with books, and then after he got such a huge consumer base, right, of customers, and by the way, the Prime membership is one of the ways they make a lot of revenue. If you were to look at their annual report or their balance sheet, but the way they're making money is by providing the same services that made them so popular, that made them so much money. Cloud, e-commerce, and all of that. They're Even though they have Amazon, what is it? Amazon Movies, right? Or the Amazon Prime movie membership. They're handling the infrastructure for Netflix, and they're a competitor. So the point that I want to make is, the Amazon 25 years ago is not the Amazon for the day. And yes, their stock has declined significantly here recently. But if you got in a first or second inning, you have made a lot of money. Agree or disagree with me? So what I want you to understand is, not only it's not just that companies that are making profits go up, potential profits make them go up too. Okay, so now you have The market is down 30%, let's say. I'm just, I'm guesstimating since the beginning of the year. So are all the companies in the S&P 500 and the in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, in the other indexes, are they all losing money because of the stock market, because of the inflation, excuse me, because of inflation? Are they all not profitable? Yes or no? No. In fact, Home Depot and Lowe's came out and they are retailers too. They're just in the home improvement. And a lot of what's driving their revenues really are housing and contractors. Everybody's building, right? People are making improvements on their home, right? And so here's what I want you to understand is a lot of stocks are down not because they're not profitable or their near and long-term outlook is bad. It's just that you got more people in the market selling. Okay, and here's what's happening. This is the other thing you need to understand is that when fear takes over, and people are like, oh my God, I opened my statement. How many of you looked at your 401k statement and you were like, oh my goodness, it was $100,000 and now it's only 80. How many of you did that, right? Or in the chat, let me know. How many of you looked in your statement and said, I lost money? That's the question I want to ask. How many of you feel like you really, really have lost a lot of money and you can't take it anymore? Let me just see this shit. I did. Yeah. Listen, you haven't lost a doggone thing until you sell. Okay? Like this is what I want you to understand. Those are just things going up and down. You haven't lost anything till you sell. And some of you are going to sell because you're afraid. And that's the worst thing you can do. I know. I don't even have to. I'm retired. I can't afford to lose no money. You like, I just got in the stock market. I just made my Roth IRA contribution and it went down. How many of you are saying that? In the chat, let me know. Okay. I just bought some stock and now it went down. No, not it went down. I lost money. I hear people. I lost money. You haven't lost anything till you realize it. Okay. Now I don't mean to sound flip, but the lesson you have to learn is the lesson that I learned very early on. And it's that wealthy people do the opposite of what most people do. It is at this point that if you've got some cash, no, you don't put it all in. Okay. If you're investing in your 401k, yes. This month, I'm going to buy more shares than I bought last month at a lower price. Are you with me? I want you guys to get this. Because the most important, the most valuable, let me put it this way, is the most valuable strength and belief that you can acquire is a wealth mindset. And that is the ability to see problems as opportunities and to lean into fear when everybody else is afraid, you do the opposite. Now, that's what I learned very early on in my career. Are you going to, if you're going to make an investment right now, are you going to make an investment because you think all stocks are on sale? No, you are not. You're going to be discriminating, and you're going to invest in companies that are what decline with all of them. Let me give you an example of that. You can Google Warren Buffett and Google what he's buying right now. He's buying Chevron, he's buying Occidental. Why is he buying oil and gas? Because he feels like the long-term outlook is positive, right? Many of those companies are cash rich right now. Their profits are ridiculous. And many of those companies are paying significant dividends. And dividends are the way large companies pay profits out to their shareholders. And guess what? They're tax advantaged. You pay lower taxes on dividends and capital gains than you do on ordinary income. Is this making sense to all of you? And so that's what I mean it by leaning into fear is how you achieve financial freedom. Now, I know some of you, oh, you know what? I know tonight I forgot to make my toast. This wine is here looking at me. And I hope you have your glass of wine. And I tell you, after a day like today, you might need a glass of wine, right? A sip anyway, a bottle even. But cheers. Now, you know what I'm toasting is check this out. So if you, who's ready to learn how to create an investment strategy that seizes volatile markets and creates opportunities for them? Who's ready to learn that? Anybody ready to spend some time with me learning how to do that? Learning how to exercise that muscle? Well, coming up, ladies, on June 4th, that's exactly what I'm bringing to y'all. Be one of the million with the million live masterclass, seize gold in market downturns and build up, right? This is where the rubber meets the roads, lady. We're going from 10 to 2 o'clock, 4 hours. And I want you to know this is going to be a working session. This is going to be a working session. So literally, when you walk out of those 4 hours, you are going to have a really good sense of what you need to do to weather the ups and downs in the market. And I don't mean weather, really to take advantage. I'm going to go really deep into you understanding the markets and how they work and what you need to be prepared for so you can have a wealth mindset. Who's ready to develop a wealth mindset, strengthen it either to the next level? Who's ready to really lean into fear so that you can achieve financial freedom? Who's ready to do it? Well, here's what I want you to know. We're going to go live with you can buy your tickets. I tell you, not expensive, because we know that everybody's concerned. It's only going to be $17 for a ticket for our 4-hour session. Now, for those of you who are already in WealthyU, well, you know, membership has privileges, right? And so you don't even have to worry about it. Yeah, there's limited capacity. We're going to be doing this virtually, but all I want folks to know, however, the challenge that I have to WealthyU members is, you know, other people, your other folks who are saying, oh my gosh, could you look at the stock market? Invite them to come on in and hang out with us for 4 hours so that they can come out with a strategy and not do something stupid. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is called prevention. Okay, like what I want you all to understand is that the way you build wealth is you're able to weather these ups and downs. Okay, so let me say this. How many of you in 2008 were so scared when the market went down that you came out of the stock market and it took you years? Now tell the truth, shame the devil. How many of you were in 2008, the market went down and you were so afraid? How many of you? In the chat, let me know. How many of you came out of the stock market in 2008 and it took you years to come back? Well, I know this to be true because when I started coaching in what is it? So like in 2014, I was amazed at how many women, not women, but how many people came out of the stock market and never went in, right? And it's so funny, like people were just waiting for the market to crash, waiting for the market to crash again so that then they could get in. So I want you to get this, right? So then, the market goes up, market kind of goes sideways. 2014 was a little tough. Then boom, boom, boom. We're going up. We get to 2019 and it's just like, wow, okay. Then 2020, what happens? What happens, everybody? What happens? COVID, right? What did the market do during COVID? In the chat, I gotta bring you guys back, right? At the height of COVID, the market declined over 30%. And so some of you were hanging with me then, and I was singing the same song. There's possibility and volatility, but now I want to tell you, fear is the way to leaning into the fear, turning your leaning into the fear is how you achieve financial freedom. Because in order to be one of the million with a million, you have to be able to look at downturns as opportunities. And that's what many of you, you already know it. You would already be millionaires. If you've been making over six figures for 10 years, and if you had just been investing in the stock market, you didn't even have to be real aggressive. If you had just been in an S&P 500 and you had been socking away the max in your 401k, many of you would already be millionaires. Agree or disagree with me? In the chat, agree or disagree. Many of you have had millions of dollars go through your hands, right? Like millions of dollars in your career. It's just that you were either a spender, a saver, but you weren't an investor. Okay? And so the goal is to help 1 million women get to build a 7-figure investment portfolios. And the only way that will happen is that you understand that the way you achieve that goal is that you've got to welcome these downturns. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but it's the truth. And so on June 4th, I am going to break it down. If some of you who are already in the WealthyU community, you have ambassadors, reach out to them and say, make sure I get the link so I get a ticket, right? If you've got an ambassador, if you haven't connected with her in WealthyU, then you need to reach out to her and say, listen, I want to make sure I get a ticket. Now, for those of you who are already in WealthyU, that's the whole point of you being in this membership, right? Because you have access to this level of coaching, accountability, and support, so that being in this circle is why you don't get caught up in. You don't get caught up in the fear and the what do I want to say? The fear and just being afraid of losing. Because in Wealthy You, we never lose. We either win or we learn. And so that's the point. That is the point of the workshop, the masterclass on June 4th. It's really designed to have you create and understand, what are the things that I need to be thinking about? What are the things that I need to do? Where are the opportunities? If I'm already retired, what are the strategies that I need to have? If I'm near retirement, what are the strategies that I need to have so that I can stand the test of time and not be laying awake at night wondering if the funds are going to be there? Are you with me? So one of the things in Wealthy you learn is that everyone has unique opportunity levers, unique investment opportunity levers, and they're different for everyone. But when you understand mindset, strategy, and execution, you begin to understand that framework and you apply it to your own situation, then you'll be able to weather ups and downs because you have a strategy, right? So, first, you have a wealth mindset. You are not fearful. You know how to take calculated risk. You are not so worried about just, I don't want to lose. You understand that you've got to have a growth mindset and be thinking about how you can grow your assets. And then, in addition to that, the next step is having a strategy. And that strategy is based on your own investment opportunity levers. But you know, the most important thing, ladies, you can have mindset, you can have a strategy, but if you don't, what? In the chat, let me know. What is the most important part? All of them are important. Execution. That's right. And what I want you to understand is that really is the power of being around other people who are like-minded. Is because when you are fearful and when you're seeing the market go down and when you open up your statement and then when you're in this community and you see other people saying, yeah, I looked at my statement, but you know what? This is what I'm thinking about buying. The conversation is different when you're with winners. Are you agree or disagree with me, ladies? When you're with winners, when you never lose, you either win or you learn, the conversation is different. Now, I'm going to open up to questions for just a minute. I'm not going to hold you guys all the way to 9 o'clock. But who's got a call? I'm going to take a couple of questions tonight. I want to take a couple of questions. What are you thinking? Or do you feel like really, it's times like these that really force you to lean in too and pay attention, right? Like when you got skin in the game, you will pay attention. Do you agree? So in the chat, let me know how many of you are gonna, and in the comments, if you're watching me. So here's all I want you to know is that if you wanna learn about the master class that we've put together specifically to focus on leaning into this fear and really understanding how turbulence in the market, problems are opportunities, then make sure you join our WealthyU community. You could be watching me on a different platform. In order to do that, the easiest, if we could put that in the chat, put the link tree in the chat, put the link tree in our Facebook comments. If you're on Instagram, look in my bio. If you're on LinkedIn, look in my bio, and you can just learn everything that's going on. And when these tickets are available, make sure that you are first in line. Get ready to roll up your sleeves and work though. So, we've really laid this out. You're going to have worksheets, you're going to be applying them. Yes, they're going to be, but the most important thing is I'm going to be sharing insight so that when you walk away, you're going to be able to say, yeah, I understand this and I understand how this applies to me. And by the way, we also have, you're going to have an opportunity to get our Millionaire in the Making Success Kit. So even before you get to the master class, you're already going to be getting some of the resources that are already available to our WealthyU Society. It's a minimum investment. It's not, a huge amount of money to invest, but we really want to make sure that you are empowered. You're also going to have an opportunity to get the replay. So we've covered all the bases, because the whole point of this masterclass is we're going to be on the offense, right? Like, I don't want you to be on the defense, being afraid, wondering what you're going to be on the offense, and you're going to walk away from there with a blueprint on how you lean into the fear and achieve financial freedom because of it. How's that sound in the chat? Let me know in the chat. Okay. So if you want to learn more, make sure you're in the WealthyU community. As soon as we're able to release the tickets, make sure you get in the, you take advantage of it as soon as you can. Of course, we have limited capacity, meaning we have limited virtual seats. So I know some of you like to wait till the last minute. And again, you're going to get started right away. If you want to learn how you can develop a wealth mindset, we have a Millionaire in the Making Success Kit. You're already going to be able to take advantage of our 7 Steps to 7 Figures e-course. And within that, there is our Nickel and Dime Your Way to Wealth ebook, which is a great primer on the market and how it works. And then I can't wait to see you all come and spend some time with us on June 4th. Again, that's from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock, 4 hours. And, we always have fun. DJ's going to be there. But this is roll up your sleeves, prepare to work. And so with that, I'm going to bid you all a good evening. Can't wait to see you on June 4th. If you want to learn more about what's going on. Oh, I forgot to tell you. How many of you have watched the most recent episode of Get Wealthy? Black is beautiful and it's profitable. An amazing story about a young woman. This is really interesting too. Like the ethnic beauty market is like an $18 billion industry. And do you know only 1% of the beauty supply stores are owned by African Americans? Crazy, right? The other thing, be looking out for our next episode of Get Wealthy. I can't wait for you guys to see that, because we're going to be talking about estate planning. We got some great topics coming up. So again, thanks so much for joining me here on WealthyU Wind Down Wednesdays. Again, I can't wait to see you on June 4th. Come and hang out with us on the WealthyU community and find out what we are up to. And with that, I bid you all a good evening.